Daredevil is an amazing character, one of the most underrated superheroes ever. One of the reasons for that is the boring, uninteresting, and overall really bad Ben Affleck movie. But now the character is in the hands of Marvel Studios, aka the studio that's made all of these movies. And instead of going for a movie, they've given Daredevil another incarnation, opting for a 13-part Netflix show. So has the character finally been done justice? The answer is a resounding yes. Alright, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's actually start the review. Also, I should say, I've only watched the first 4 episodes, so if the show becomes complete garbage after the first 4, then I won't know at this point. But I sincerely doubt that will happen. So Daredevil is a show about a kid called Matt Murdock, who gets in a chemical accident and gets blinded. But that same accident enhanced all his other senses. Cut to something like 20 years later, and Matt's running a small law firm with his buddy Foggy Nelson. However, he's also trained himself to become an expert in martial arts, and by night he fights the crime of Hell's Kitchen. And so, mobsters and criminals and Russians attack, and Matt must fight to save his city as Daredevil. And this series is so great. First off, I just want to clear this up. As previously mentioned, this is done by Marvel Studios, but it doesn't feel remotely like an MCU thing. This show is really dark, both literally and metaphorically. The bright color palette that the Avengers has been swapped out for black ninja suits and dark alleys, and the tone is way different, much more along the lines of what I imagine a rated R version of The Dark Knight would be. And on that note, there are a couple Batman comparisons that will be drawn here, and to be fair, some moments do seem a bit too reminiscent of the Dark Knight trilogy. Just one example is he's interrogating this guy, and he's doing the whole "where is he" kind of thing. Where are they? But that might just be parallel thinking. Let's talk characters and acting. Charlie Cox is amazing as Daredevil. I didn't really hate Ben Affleck in the role, but this is the Matt Murdock Daredevil combo that we deserve. And I keep the language pretty PG on this channel, but I have to say, Daredevil is a badass. Not just Daredevil, but Matt Murdock too. Also, Daredevil is a really unique superhero. Some people might see him and think he's just a ripoff of Batman, but if you just delve into the character a bit more, you'll see that he's really interesting. He's a blind, religious lawyer by day, crime fighter by night, and all 3 of those things play an interesting part in the story of the show. Foggy Nelson, Matt Murdock's friend and law partner, is also pretty good, and they play off each other really well. There are a lot of other characters that are great, but I don't want to get too into them because I don't want to spoil anything. Now I want to talk about what I really love about this show: the action. The action scenes are spectacular. The directing is great, and the scenes are really interestingly shot, most of them being in really dark locations. The show's choreographer needs to get a raise pronto, because no matter how much they're paying him or her, it isn't enough. It feels like Daredevil's a ninja, but you also get the feeling that he's kind of a normal guy, in the sense that he becomes exhausted and starts breathing heavily during fights. Now I need to talk about one scene in particular that raised the show from, yeah, this is a pretty good show that I'm enjoying, to this is phenomenal. I'm talking about the last 6 or 7 minutes of the 2nd episode, where the director took a cue from Birdman and made the entire scene look like it was one shot, and it was so cool. Daredevil's searching for this kid who got kidnapped by these Russians or whatever. He busts into their den, and an epic one-shot action scene ensues. It was so great. That scene alone elevates this show up a notch, and it was already really high. As far as the story goes, it's pretty good. I'd say the only downside of the show is when some mobsters or whatever are talking, and Matt Murdock isn't there. It's a little bit boring, but besides that, it's really good. I also really like how the show's laid out. The origin story is told in the first 2 minutes of the show, and then within the first 5 minutes, you see Daredevil. That's something I love in movies and shows, when they start the hero as an already established hero. Then we see some more of Matt Murdock's past in flashbacks, including stuff about his dad, which was really interesting. His dad was a boxer, and one who messed with some stuff he probably shouldn't have. He took bribes to lose games and stuff like that. And there's this one scene in particular, and this isn't really a spoiler. Matt's dad has been paid to lose this match, but he decides to go against it. He knows he'll probably die for doing it, but he wants his son for just one time to hear the world cheering for his dad. And that scene was really touching. I even teared up a bit. The version 1 Daredevil costume is cool, and I haven't exactly gotten to the point in the show where he gets his new red one, but I'm sure it will be just as good. It was also a pretty good idea on Marvel's part to make this a TV show instead of a movie, because now there are 13 hours over 13 episodes to tell a story that I'm glad is being told. So overall, I cannot recommend Daredevil enough. Look, Arrow's really good, Agent Carter's really good, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't bad, but I'm going to take a stand and say that Daredevil is the best superhero TV show, even if it isn't technically on TV. I can't wait to watch the rest of it. This makes me really excited for the rest of the Marvel Netflix shows, and I will give Daredevil a 9.5 out of 10. So have you seen Daredevil? If you have, do you like it as much as I do? Be sure to let me know in the comments. And if you haven't, what are you waiting for? Take a few hours off to watch it. I promise you won't regret it. Hit the like button, and subscribe for more videos like the one you just watched. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.